Welcome back. Now, in an effort to root out White House leakers, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer called nearly 24 staffers into his office and demanded their cell phones. This after President Trump said, quote, find the leakers within the FBI itself. Classified information is being given to media that could have a devastating effect on U.S. Find now. My next guest, he's a military expert who says this is the best way to root out a mole. Joining me now, former U.S. Army Special Forces and Center for Security Policy expert Jim Hanson. Jim, look at what just happened. Let's just walk through. The president is going to introduce a, quote, flawless new order on this temporary travel ban. But then we had, late last week, another leak out of Homeland Security, a draft internal report from Homeland Security suggesting no evidence of any threat posed by the 7 travel ban nations. It looks like it was done to undercut what's coming on Wednesday, Jim.
All of these leaks appear to have been political in nature. I mean, look at the most heinous ones. When the phone calls between General Flynn and someone in Russia, the foreign minister, were leaked, and they end up showing absolutely no crime. But what they did was they showed the Russians that we had broken their countermeasures that were designed to stop us from tapping their phones. So we actually, whoever leaked that, gave the Russians free information about how far along we were in tapping their phone calls. That's horrifying, and they showed no crime. Now, the stuff about the DHS and the other leaks coming out of the White House, not all of that is about classified information, but it's certainly about trust. And if the White House can't trust its own staff not to leak sensitive information, whether it's classified or not, they're very capable of doing what it takes to root out those leakers and get rid of them.
Are you concerned about national security issues here, Jim?
Absolutely. I mean, in the first case, if it's classified information, it's absolutely a national security issue. But in the situation where you've got White House officials leaking information about phone calls the president has or meetings that were not public, the government has to be able to operate, and some of that operation has to be a secret, whether it's classified or not. That requires that the officials, given that trust, be able to keep their mouths shut. If they can't, they need to be shown the door. And if the information's classified, I'd like to see somebody go to prison over it.
Right. 10 terror attacks on this soil under President Obama. 113 people killed, about 400 injured. And so it seems like there's fire engine red alarms going off in the White House about these leaks right now, Jim, to the point where Sean Spicer, the staffers there, gave both their government and their personal phones over to be looked into to see if there were leaks coming from them. I mean, there are apps out there where messages can disappear immediately. Do you think it's okay that they gave both their work and their personal phones over? They did it voluntarily, it appears.
The bottom line is working at the White House is not a right. All right, it's a privilege, and if there are leaks coming out and they ask you to go ahead and prove it's not you, you can choose not to. You can go ahead and stand on that pure libertarian thing, but the bottom line is they have a right to figure out who it is, and when they find that person, which this is one step towards doing, it's pure counterintelligence, then you find them, you punish them to encourage others not to do the same.
You know, Jim, there's another issue, too, that the president doesn't have his full cabinet yet. And we had former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski. He's arguing that the leaks perhaps would stop happening if the cabinet was there and if all the appointments Trump is asking for were confirmed. Let's take a listen.
Any information that's being leaked out of this administration needs to have a lid put on it, and it's very hard to do when you've got career bureaucrats sitting in these government agencies who have access to information that have a completely different agenda. And if the Senate would confirm the president's selections for secretary and then the under positions, we could stop those things. That's very important to do, so hopefully the Senate will take those up and confirm those.
So Corey's saying it's Obama officials that are still there. What do you think?
I think you can call them Obama officials. I think the entire government as a whole, the career government, leans hard to the left. I mean, all the contributions from government employees are strongly to Democrat candidates. This has been going on for a long time. So you have a constant battle when there's Republicans in charge with those career officials trying to undermine the policies of the Republican administration. The Obama folks are especially bad about it. And in this case, you've got a pure hatred and almost unhinged mentality about President Trump. They're being even worse than it has been in the past. It's something that those cabinet officials could stop and should stop, and I hope there are investigations that root these people out.
Jim Hanson, thank you for your time and thank you for your service to our country.